In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge the traditional custodians.
Oh, we
Sorry,
lost audio
my
there.
cat.
No, that.
My cat knocked my hand. Let's start that again, shall we?
Shall we?
In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today.
All right. Let me hide that. Oh, thing. How do I get me back? There I am. This is real. Oh, I've got to press this button. I found the button, everyone. Okay, well, this is Materialise, the Launch Tabletop podcast, where Eris has no idea how to use the technology. It's also where we talk about turning game ideas into tangible objects. Today is the 12th of May, 2023, and this is our 23rd episode, so that worked out pretty well, that it's 23 and the year 2023. Anyway, this week's topic is our first trade show, which is Launch Tabletop at the GAMA Expo 2023. And I was just trying to sneak in a glass of water well, not even a glass, a drink of water while we were just doing that, and I wasn't fast enough. So this is off to a flying start for those who are playing along with us. Yeah,
finding new and exciting ways of doing the introduction.
I've also had problems with my microphone, and so if any weird noises come through, just let me know and I'll mute and I'll try and switch to a different one. So we'll just see what happens, I suppose. Welcome back. We've been away for about 3 weeks, which I'm going to say in a moment. So I will instead say hi, Kate. I'm joined by Kate. How are you?
Hello. It's lovely to be back. Glad you've made it, north of the border.
Yes, I have. And
back to Queensland.
Back to Queensland. I realised that I left Queensland in 2006. So however many years that is, that's how many
It's a while.
Yeah, back now. And we've also got Alana, who's also a Queenslander with us. Hello, Alana. Also from Queensland.
Also from Queensland. Yeah, also still only just having gotten over our big trip to the US.
Yeah, so we just took our break. Yeah, we just took our break and a bit of an unscheduled break because we didn't really know what was going to happen. But I was moving interstate, and you both were overseas in the Grand Ole USA at the GAMA trade show, GAMA Expo.
We were. Yep.
So we're going to talk. That's the whole theme of this episode. I'm not going to ask any questions about GAMA right now. We'll save that for a moment. But you're both recovering okay because you just mentioned about the jet lag. And yep. Kate, have you recovered okay from that or not really?
Yeah. Well, some of us got a week of holidays after the trip. Not pointing any fingers. Some of us came straight back and went right back to work. So,
yeah, some of us got as far as San Francisco and said, "Nah, I'm staying."
And then tried to eat all of the chowder in the Bay Area. Oh wait, that was Sue. I'm sorry.
It wasn't me.
Yeah. So Alana, you spent another few days or a week or whatever over there after the event.
Yeah. We, my partner and I used that opportunity to stay in San Francisco for a week. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Alan and Kate got back and battled their jet lag while my partner and I were bike riding around San Francisco. So
sounds beautiful.
Yeah, this past week has been my opportunity to get over jet lag.
I think it's been a bit brutal for you, hasn't it?
Oh, it's been horrendous.
So I guess that's the first tip that people can leave us is what's your way to combat jet lag? You chuck us a message or put it as a comment on the video in YouTube or whatever later on, and tell us how do you battle jet lag? I've heard I've only done a couple of long trips like that, and the advice that my parents picked up when we did our first one when I was a younger child was to switch all your watches to where your destination time as soon as it's practical to do so, like when you get on the plane or whatever. But I don't know if that actually helps or if it's just
It's one small piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, they enforced that on the plane to an extent on the way across. So we went direct from Brisbane to San Francisco, and we were on a Dreamliner. And instead of the old traditional window shades where you pull them up and down, they were electronically controlled, and they could darken the entire plane. So we took off, and they darkened the sunny side of the plane. I was, hang on, what? I don't know. They must polarize the windows or something. Yeah, and then once they'd fed us, all the windows on the entire plane just, so it was like you were at night. So they're
Wow.
kind of being smart with circadian rhythms and trying to help you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely going over, I think, was easier than coming back. Typically, I found that. And that could just be because we're exhausted from traveling, coming back, that we're just like compounding exhaustion, getting home, decompressing, and jet lag. But
did your flight home leave late at night like ours did?
Ours is a midnight flight out of San Francisco. And so
I think that makes it really hard because your body's going, it's time for sleep. Whereas going across, we left mid-morning. And so...
Well, the weird thing is, so when we leave Australia, we leave at midday and we arrive at 6:30 a.m. America time. When we leave America, we leave at midnight and get back to Australia at 6:30 a.m. So it's really weird. So there's something fundamentally different about the direction you're traveling and getting over jet lag.
It's much easier to lengthen your day by a little bit, which is kind of what you do going across, I think. But coming back just...
it was pretty brutal.
Alan was fine coming back, though, because he just went to sleep and he slept for most of it. The plane wasn't empty, but there were, at least 3 rows with no one in them. And so he just went and took a row of 4 and lay down and he wasn't actually snoring, but he slept through... Sorry, the cat's jumping around.
The cat's awesome.
This is Hayley, everybody. Hayley's going into her house. He slept through the snack and through breakfast and then was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed when we landed, which was probably good because I was definitely not.
Oh, okay. So let's start talking about the actual thing. So what is GAMA, Kate?
I'm going to totally cheat and read what it says on the website because there's no way I could memorize it. So pardon me while I read. The Game Manufacturers Association, known as GAMA, is a US-based non-profit trade organisation serving the hobby games industry. The GAMA Expo trade show is held annually in the United States. It attracts publishers, game designers, retailers, and manufacturers for 4 days of seminars, panel discussions, reviews, and demos of new products.
Thank you.
So it's kind of a North American thing, pulling in people from everywhere, but mostly North American companies for a bit of a who's who of the industry. It's crazy. It's good fun. And it moves. They change venues occasionally. So this was the last year in Reno, and next year they're off to Louisville, Kentucky.
There you go. So, Alana, what was Launch Tabletop doing there?
Eating lots of steak, apparently.
And we
drinking a lot of Dr. Pepper too for some of us.
Yeah, that too. Look, it was an opportunity for the team to travel somewhere together as like a unified like company showing. And so for a couple of things, it was a good way for us to get familiar with going to conventions as a company. GAMA, in terms of raw numbers, is a fairly small show. They get about 2,500 people through the door over 3 days of the convention hall. You compare that to something like Gen Con, which gets over 60,000 people over 3 days. So we're talking orders of magnitude, smaller than your kind of your other shows in America.
But it's very targeted. It's a very
what it does do though is it's super concentrated, super targeted at industry, and most of the, especially North American industry people are there. So all the companies and their representatives, designers, manufacturers, publishers, retailers, is a like very concentrated group of people. And so
you may have said this, but I sorry, because I was trying to get the photos working, so I was only giving you one of my ears, not two. You have to be an industry member to go to GAMA, though, right? Like, it's not open to the public.
Yeah, it's a member-based organization. Like you have a membership to GAMA, and then that gives you the ability to attend the trade show. So you need to be a retailer, publisher, designer, media organization, manufacturer. There's like different categories. You can't just be someone who just likes games. Although, I mean, there's ways to kind of get yourself into the show, but it's not really for just general consumers.
Because I know the only trade show I've been to that's board game related is the Toy and Game Fair in Melbourne, which happens I think every year, and I've been to two of them.
Similar
And
idea.
I know it's different, but the thing about that one is that you have to get a ticket. The tickets for that one are free, but you have to basically show your business, like, you have to go to get a ticket. You got to put in like your business details, and then they basically will go, okay, yeah, cool, like that's fine, and so it means that you've got to have some connection to the.
So to be a member of GAMA, you have to pay a membership fee, yearly membership fee, and you have to be in one of those broad categories and be able to show that you are attached to a company or an entity that is a part of those categories. And then from there, you purchase tickets. Your membership allows you to purchase tickets. So that's the kind of the steps to go through. But
and it's a bit of I think I saw on the website, because we have got the website linked in the description on YouTube if you're following us on there, to the GAMA, where they talk about the GAMA Expo. And I think it said that a membership gives you 2 tickets automatically. Like just by having a membership, you get 2 tickets.
Yeah, I believe so. It's something like that. Yeah. So, specifically for us as tabletop adjacent.
Are we adjacent? I feel like we're kind of right in the middle.
Yeah, I guess we are. We're kind of somewhere wedged between manufacturing and publishing, and we do accessorizing as well. So we're kind of got our fingers in a few different ponds. We were there to show off Stella and also Launch Lab. So with Stella being probably the bigger emphasis for us at this particular show.
I'll ask you about that in more detail in a moment. Just quickly, I'm going to ask Kate to tell us who is in the booth team, and I'm going to bring up a picture.
Sure.
So that's the photo of the team that was there. Yeah. Who's who and what's going on?
So we had a team of 7, which is our sort of core group of 4 who we call leadership, but it's
I don't know why you're doing that in inverted commas. Like, you literally are the leadership team, Kate. Like, there's nothing to be like, there's nothing weird about that. That's just what you're a part of.
I know, there's just something that makes me go, oh, when someone goes, I'm leadership.
A leadership team of a very small team.
I know, so there's the 4 of us. There's Alana, Alan, Nick, and I, plus Julene and Sue, who are Nick and Alana's partners, and then Sam, who's our COO.
And he's basically in the middle, in between Nick and Kate.
Yeah.
So that particular photo was taken at the end of our booth setup session. So it took the 7 of us literally about 5.5 hours to set up the booth. It was really hard work. It was very, very full on.
Yeah,
we started with this. The booth had not been set up correctly. They'd set up the wings here at the side were set up back to front. They were supposed to be pointing backwards.
Okay.
So there was this whole back and forth with the people who were installing stuff, and then the people who designed the stuff, but they shouldn't have designed it that way. And they shouldn't have, they should have talked to us with it. And it's just make it work.
Pretty typical to turn up to your booth at a convention and find that it's been assembled incorrectly. Yeah. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
There you go.
But I came prepared with Tim Tams and other Australian delicacies.
I'm bribing people with chocolate.
Yeah. They were quite happy to have Tim Tams. I like to look after the people who look after us.
And then we had a picture. So that was this is a photo of the booth setup.
We were finished. Yeah, we did actually change things a bit the next morning with the arrangement of the panels on the back, but that was basically it. We had some shelves with things that we were handing out. So the top shelf, we took samples of games that some of our customers had produced. We got permission, of course, so that we could show examples of these are things that people actually made, and this is what they look like.
Yeah.
We had 300 of our tech deck and 300 of the first designer deck, both of which were so successful that obviously that we've started on a second designer deck this week, and that's
I am aware of that,
getting arted, which is very exciting. And then we took the Pepsi Challenge, which was really cool. I enjoyed that a lot. It was ridiculous how much fun I had with that.
So I'm going to assume this time it wasn't actual Pepsi that you were challenging.
No, it wasn't. One of the things that we say to people with Launch Lab is the quality of what we produce is retail quality. And so we put our money where
There's
our
those
mouth
air quotes again.
I mean,
retail quality. But there's a wide range of what that can mean.
Yes.
So we went,
definitely.
okay, well, let's show them. So your game that we had in the launch kit, the Robots and Rockets launch pad, we got 3 copies made on the offset machines. So for people who aren't terribly familiar with it, the offset machines are what they use for the print runs when they're making thousands of games. So getting the machines to do just 3 copies is pretty wild.
It's usually a much higher setup cost.
It's not a very efficient way of doing it.
Not an efficient use of that machine.
No.
But for the purpose, 3 of those compared to 3 of what gets turned out by our actual print-on-demand system. And it was basically, here's one of each. Can you tell which is which? I saw 2 people get it right the whole time. Even Sam had to say, just hang on, put his glasses on, step away, and look at them for a couple of minutes. And he got it right, as one would expect. But the 2 people who did get it right, I think one of them might have gotten lucky. And the other one had been working in print manufacturing for like 15 or 20 years. So he had tons of experience.
So I think I think the point for us also is internally, as much as for the dealing with people who aren't in the company and showing them what we can do, was confirming for us that the quality is up to that standard, and like it's able to do that, which is really good. All right, we'll quickly go through some of these other photos just so that we've done it, and then we can do some more in-depth talking about some of the details of the experience. So here, I think you're flying in.
Yeah, so the 4 of us traveling from Brisbane, Alan, Alana, Sue and I, we landed in San Francisco. So I've got sirens about to go past outside just in case you can hear shrieking. So of course that's going to happen on Friday afternoon.
That's all right.
And then it's a short hop to Reno. It's literally a 36-minute flight. So you fly over Lake Tahoe on the way there.
Is that what that? So that's actually Lake
Tahoe.
Tahoe.
That lake is Lake Tahoe.
That's Lake Tahoe.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I went there in 1994.
Yeah. All of that snow was still quite new. That had snow as recently as a week before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty spectacular flying in.
It was beautiful.
Because it's a desert. Reno's in the middle of the desert. And you fly in over the, what's their mountain range?
Rockies?
Is it the Rockies? Yeah, something
like that.
It's that mountain range.
It's not one of the Sierra ones?
Sierra Nevada, I don't know, whatever it is. Yeah, I'm sure there's
we are definitely not going to win any geography
Americans that
quizzes.
scream at us.
Yeah, they will. Or just geography fans will be like,
and anyone who knows the name of the mountains between San Francisco and Nevada, answers on a piece of paper before the end of class. Thank you.
Yeah. Funny.
Of course, I could look it up right now.
That's fine. Let's leave it ambiguous. I don't mind. We don't need to.
Yeah, we fly in over, what's that? The El Dorado National Forest and the Tahoe National Forest. But yeah, you fly in over that mountain.
This sounds suspiciously like you're looking it up right now.
Oh no, not at all.
So then you've got a photo of a car park and a mountain range in the background.
Yeah, so we were close to shops. We went for walks and things like that. And coming out of a market, there was just this view, and I went, "Oh, that's so beautiful." So that's looking back at the mountains that we flew over. If you would have, over those mountains, that's where Lake Tahoe is.
Well, Reno is just completely surrounded by mountains, and they all had snow on them. Yeah. It's just no matter which way you turned, there was a snowy mountain. It's pretty amazing. But you're in the middle of the desert. So
and you're 5,000 feet up, so it's dry and
incredibly dry.
Yeah, my skin is flaking like crazy. It's just coming off today. It's gross. It's lucky it's not like an extreme close-up.
And then we have a photo of Kate in what looks to be maybe a Barnes & Noble.
We went to a few shops because they have much bigger mass market hobby games there than we do here. So it's interesting to see that because we just don't get it here. Yeah. If you go into somewhere like Big W or Target here, it's Monopoly, 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 Guess Who, and those sorts of things.
They have got a couple. I've randomly, over the Christmas period, it's not been repeated yet though, I found in a local Kmart a copy of Catan. And I was like, that was pretty interesting. But then it's the only one I've seen, so I don't know if it sells out or if they just only had some in for Christmas. But I think there are a couple of, But you're right, it's way more common, I think, in the US.
So different over there.
Yeah.
So we went and did some exploring, and we ended up at Barnes & Noble, and I found a game that I'd worked on the shelf, which was what this photo is, me going, hey, look, I worked on this game. So that was kind of cool.
The game was called Pitch Storm, I think.
It was the coffee stained edition, and it was exclusive to Barnes.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to explain things, by the way, in case people are listening to us and not watching the photos. So that's, if you hear me trying to explain a photo, that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And so then we have a photo of the team maybe about to eat or just having eaten something. I know some kind of.
That was, I think, before our food arrived.
Okay.
So we went to a place in the CBD called, was it Sierra Street Kitchen and Cocktails or something?
Something like that. Sure.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
It was nice. It wasn't crazy loud, and we were tucked away in a corner up the back, and it was yummy, and
nice.
Yeah, we had a nice night.
I'm gonna zip through these because I would like to talk about some other stuff. So here's a photo of the sign to Reno, getting into Reno.
Yep, and that was afterwards. We're walking and got the introduction to Saturday Night.
We have the
America.
booth set up, which we've looked at, and the booth itself, and then we have a few of you swimming.
This was one of the later ones because I met Kat Dreyer and Trisha Victor for the first time in person. We had should we go for a swim in the mornings?
Yeah.
And it sort of, we grew a little bit every morning. Another couple of people would come and join us. So I think this was
it never occurred to, like, if I was going, I don't think it would have occurred to me to even pack a swimsuit. I just don't think about swimming that much. Yeah. So you're seeing the photo. I'm just like, oh, that's a really smart idea. If I ever do this in the future, pack a swimsuit. Like,
well, the pools were heated, so it was. I mean, the air was really frosty. But once you're in the water, it was lovely.
It's cold out in the air.
Yeah,
it was like having a bath. Like, it was warm, very, very warm.
Cool.
But
hot. Yeah, and then more food. Just looks like a breakfast. And then I'm just
more
going to keep going through. And then we had someone visit
on day 2.
Yes,
we got a visit from Tom Vassell, which was very cool.
And he's obviously the best.
He loved the Stella prints. The Bosley triptych caught his eye, and he just went, "What is that?" And I said, "That's the Dice Tower, Bosley. Come and have a look." And he Instagrammed 2 things the whole time he was at GAMA, and that was one of them. The other was Lucky Duck.
Nice.
Cool.
He seemed because he also that he released a video which had a bit of a recap, and he talked about it in there, which was really cool. All right, so then we've got a photo of some American fast food type thing, a drink.
Yeah, so that's me with a Dr. Pepper.
Beautiful. Although I say beautiful. Beautiful for you. I'm not a fan of Dr. Pepper, but I know that it has a huge fan base and very vocally loyal fans. So
we don't get. Well, we do get it in Australia, but it's all import. We don't bottle it here in Australia, so it's not as readily available. You don't get it as fountain drinks in restaurants, and it's you get
definitely no free refills.
Oh hell no. So this is a bit of a treat for me and Alan because we both enjoy Dr. Pepper.
Awesome.
So that was me getting a big one from Wendy's across the road.
Fantastic. And then we have a photo
that was just from my room. You could see the leaves on the trees. In the space of a week, it went from being quite yellow looking to everything was waking up. And I just you can see as well that the snow on the mountains has melted quite a bit. When
and then we have you looks like you're being interviewed in the booth.
That was with Rob Berg from Gaming Trends on the last day of the show. That interview hasn't come out yet, but
cool.
I
Good
keep
to look forward to.
Days to see.
Very exciting. And then another food pic of the team having meals.
Yeah.
Nice. That was
dinner at an
after
Italian
the final day. We tore everything down, went for a nana nap. No, there was no nana nap that night. It was straight out to dinner. So,
and then another food pic to end us. Another one at the end.
Yeah, and this was the final night. We went to a place called Bricks. And it was the most enormous piece of steak I think I've ever had.
Yeah, very, very exciting. So I'm going to ask you some specific questions about the expo and about maybe what people can expect if they're trying to go there, or thinking of going there. So we were there obviously promoting the Stellar Prince, which we're going to talk about, I think, probably a little bit later on in more detail, because we have an upcoming Kickstarter, just to, let everyone know that's happening. And also to talk about Launch Lab and let people know we existed. But what's your what was your take on, so it says obviously in the GAMA thing from their website that it's, all the different industry people are there, so publishers, game designers, retailers, manufacturers. Did you feel like that was fairly accurately represented in when you're walking around and looking? And
Definitely. Yeah.
They didn't mention there that there are distributors as well,
okay,
because the distributors go as well because they're looking to see what's coming from publishers, and the retailers are talking to the distributors about what they're getting into stock. And there's a lot of orders placed at GAMA, and lots of them have specials. Buy 2 cases of this and you'll get this discount, or we'll chuck in a copy of this for free for demo.
Often what a lot of publishers will do is they're kind of previewing their upcoming games. So they typically, publishers won't launch games at GAMA because it's not the right venue for launching a game. But what they do is they get retailers and distributors aware of it early, get orders in early, and then often they'll do either an Origins or a Gen Con release to the public to coincide with the consumer side of things.
Yes.
So really it's about laying the foundation for releases oftentimes, which is, why we were there. We were laying down the foundation for our Kickstarter and also releasing more of our Stellar prints. So in that sense, that the vibe was very much that, that everyone's there to show off what's coming soon, and retailers are there to try and get on board with what's coming soon so they can have, on launch day, they can have those awesome new releases. Definitely.
Because I think that's something that some people forget, and is certainly something that when I was moving into the industry a bit more a few years ago and having to look into it, learning about just the fact that we're shipping physical product to shops or to people, to people directly, like there is logistical, like there's a whole logistic structure around how do you do that, and so and I've noticed in a different industry, but I sometimes pay attention to other industries, and I noticed that there was a guitar pedal company a couple of years ago, and they'd obviously had an embargo drop, so all these videos appeared on YouTube saying the release of this pedal was coming out. And the thing that amazed me was they had all their stuff in a row so that when it came out, my local store in Sydney had them in stock already. And it was I wasn't used to that, because I feel like with board games, maybe it's a bit more, this company was a bit bigger, so maybe they had a bit more confidence that they could sell it, but it's a bit more risky. And so sometimes there might be a delay of a month or 2 or whatever, before the announcement, and then it actually turning up in a shop. But it was interesting to see that obviously behind the scenes, this company had already had some stock, internationally travel, because they're an American company, go from America overseas to Australia, and be ready in a local store. And
definitely this doesn't happen by accident. So this is something that behind the scenes companies are working hard towards, and often that release, there's an optimum release time for games, and it usually revolves around conventions. If you release your game between conventions, it often just doesn't get as much momentum as it would if you were to release your game
just because
at
of
Gen Con,
buzz
at
and hype and things like that.
Well, you got this, if you do a Gen Con launch of a game, you've got an audience of 60,000 people coming through the door, who are climbing over each other to try and get the new hot release. They've got money to spend. They want that game,
and empty suitcases to fill with the things.
And if you can say we're launching a Gen Con, it's not available in stores until after the show, but you can buy it at the show today. Then that's a really powerful thing for for sales. And so GAMA is a way of laying the foundation for a lot of those kind of things. And it can take months to get that lined up for the reasons you said, physical goods traveling around the world, getting because there's a chain of events. You've got to get your game manufactured on the boat, then get it to the major destinations, and then into distributors' warehouses, and then distributors, they need to market it to their retailers to say, oh, we have this release schedule for these games, make sure you put in your orders. So then the orders have to come in by a certain date, and they'll say, get your orders in by such and such a date to be guaranteed to have it by Gen Con or whatever it is. And so there's all these deadlines going on behind the scenes, and it all kind of snowballs, and by the time it gets to that end point, GAMA's here. And so you've had 4 or 5 months go by, and so you have to have this stuff lined up. Otherwise you miss these important dates.
So I didn't prep this with you before, but are we okay talking about what it costs to have a booth like the booth that we had at GAMA, or is that something that you don't want to talk about? I haven't prepped this, so sorry.
I think it's
fine.
fine.
Anyone who asks about getting a booth can find out.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, cost-wise...
So what size booth did we have?
We had a 10 by 10, which is the standard size. It's basically 3 meters
10 foot
by
10
meters.
foot. So 3 by 3.
Yeah. And we decided to get the 3-panel hard stand digitally printed thing at the back, which was expensive, but absolutely worth it because it looked great.
Yeah.
But it was also firm, and we could use our magnet mounting system for the plates to go up there. The most challenging part about that was poor Alana, and I think, did Alan end up going down the back of that with you? And you were like,
Alan. Yeah, we were
pushing,
putting force behind the wall because it's like a high density plastic.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a plastic or something. It's like a thin plastic.
Oh, that's right. Is it Sintra? I think that they use
something like it's like a
So it's quite flexy.
Yeah.
So if you push too hard, it'll just pop out of the tracks. So Alana was on one side doing this, and I was on the other going with the magnet
trying to get it in. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But in terms of like what you get for your money, so about, I don't know, I think it was like $1,500 US or something for the bare booth. In terms of booth costs, that's cheap when it comes to conventions. Like,
GAMA is
easily paying
Gen
3
Con,
times that much for like Gen Con or PAX or I don't actually know about Essen, but it's much more expensive. But for a bare booth, you get basically a piece of carpet on the floor of 3 by 3 and a curtain at the back. That's all you get.
So so all the printing is all extra. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. That entire aluminium stand with the printing, the lights on top, and even just supply of power, they're all extras that you pay for.
Okay. So you just pay for what you need, kind of thing.
That's where the money is. Like, it's very expensive for all the dressings. We brought in our own that Launch Tabletop stand table at the front. We brought that in ourselves.
So for those listening, it's an oval kind of table that's about,
it's a little
waist height, roughly, a bit higher than waist height.
Yeah. Fabric printing over a little spring-loaded thing.
But the benefit of getting it done through the exhibit services is everything's handled for you, so you don't have to worry about timings. It's just there.
It gets shipped. It's there when you get there, and then all you've got to do is tell people how to install it properly. It's not supposed to be like that. Fix it, please.
So I think that's probably why, like, because of some of the costs, like some people, if they're doing it regularly, they organize their own solution.
And they take
US-based exhibitors, definitely, especially like the larger publishers. They have their like booth kit, and they have a whole bunch of stuff pre-made, ready to go, and they just ship it to the warehouse. And then when they're done, they pack it back up and ship it off again.
Well, we had a
little bit tricky if you're in Australia. So
we had a guest on, and I don't remember if this was talked about after the show ended or on the show, so I'm not going to say who it was or anything. But they had mentioned that some of the companies they worked with actually had booth like the sets in storage between conventions, so that because that worked out more economical to put it into a storage place for however many months, like between, rather than have it in their own, like ship it back to wherever they're from, and like all that kind of stuff. So just like so many interesting solutions to these problems. That because
I mean, even if you have one of those fabric backdrops, the sublimation printed
Yes.
things that go over the, it's like a kind of like a big coat hanger.
Yeah.
Those are
Tubular
really
frame
expensive.
thing.
So you don't want to use it once and chuck it, because those things are
Yeah.
a standard size, so they'll take
So
them.
do you feel like a booth is generally like who is the booth really good for, I suppose, rather than saying is it worth it? Because it's going to, obviously everyone's going to have different ideas about worth it, but who would you say investing in getting a booth is kind of a good idea?
I think it really depends. I don't think there is any simple answer to that.
Okay.
Sorry, Kate.
You go.
The risk you run with a booth is that you are tethered to a space, and so if it's just one person, having a booth can be really difficult because you've got to run the booth, but you don't get the luxury of going out of your booth to go and do other stuff unless you close the booth. So
yeah, of course.
if you were some conventions, I mean, GAMA did a little bit of this. Like PSI's booth had a variety of designers. They allocated like some space to a few different publishers in the one booth space.
Yeah, okay.
Like co-boothing, that can work. If you're a solo designer, you wouldn't bother getting a booth unless you had a very specific reason to be doing that.
And they did that for the Horizons Fellows. So people like Emily Willix with Small Furry and Jamie with Triple Rainbow, they were Horizons Fellows. So they got a 10 by 10 booth, but they were not always there. But I feel like it's the kind of crowd where you can say to your neighbour, I have to go to a meeting. Can you just keep an eye on things?
I have seen in one of the Facebook groups I was a part of leading up to GAMA, someone did say, it was like general advice for conventions. It wasn't just for GAMA specific, but it was like, don't just leave your cash like at the booth, like take it with you.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Like if you're selling products and got cash on there, like make sure to take it with you. I was like,
luckily GAMA's not a sell stuff exhibition. There's no cash. There's no. I mean, but you can, but it's not the focus. Whereas Gen Con, you've got lots of money changing hands, and so you want to hang on to that cash box like your life depends on it.
And every year you hear about people at Gen Con or Origins or something like that who get their stuff pinched, and they'll lose thousands of dollars just because someone was an asshole.
But in terms of like, the whole like, do you need a booth or not thing, very circumstantial. I think for us it made sense. We had a big enough team that we could divide and conquer. So we have 2 or 3 at the booth all the time, and the rest of us would go off for meetings and hunting down people and harassing, or
just wandering and seeing what was out there and going, they might be interested in X.
Well, I think that was also something in the Dice Tower video that Tom Vassell put out, which we were featured in, which I'm just going to keep repeating because it's really cool. He made a point of saying like a whole chunk of his time being there was really just in meetings, and it was boring business meetings. Like that's kind of the main reason that you go to these kind of things, is to try and have them. And and so it's not always just about being able to enjoy necessarily all the stuff on the show there. But one thing that they do mention on their description is that they've got the panel discussions and seminars and things like that. Did you get to any of them, or did you hear about any or anything like that?
I did hear about them. I didn't get to any.
You hear about them,
I know that Sam and Julene, maybe Sue, I'm not sure if Sue went. They went to something for early designers or something like that, like getting started. It was a 3-hour thing, and Sue and Sam went. No, sorry, Julene and Sam went to that and made quite a few connections. And all those people, I think that was on day 2, and all of those people, well, a lot of them came past the booth that afternoon and said, "Oh, is Julene here?" Because I was talking to her this morning, and she said to come and see me. So
there's definitely interesting talks. There's stuff aimed at retailers and publishers and that for different reasons, but things like how to get your game in front of a distributor, or how to pitch your game to a publisher, or for retailers, I don't know, how to do something related to retailing. Like it's that kind of stuff.
But
so there's a whole
I think that's
learning
the thing,
element.
Every layer has their own challenges, right? Because retailers obviously have challenges with how do they make sure they've got the right stock and all that, because all different factors that they're trying to balance.
Yeah. So there's different. I think there was 3 streams or 2 streams. I can't remember, but they had 2 different 2 or 3 different ballroom, whatever you call them, like
They had seminar
function
rooms
rooms.
that
Yeah.
were, a seminar on this and a seminar on that. There were often 3 of those running concurrently.
And
Which
I,
is
there you go.
I was going to say it's a little different to the consumer shows. So where the consumer show talks and panels and that are largely centered around like gaming culture and gaming as a hobby and less so on like how to be in the industry, whereas these talks were all related to how to be in the industry, how to do things in the industry for your business, for your game, for your whatever. So different focus.
But definitely relevant for the people who are there, though, right?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah. So I think definitely like budding designers who want to kind of engage with the industry, somewhere like GAMA is very worthwhile.
Or small retailers who aren't as comfortable with social media. They had seminars on effective social media, how to do it, make a calendar, those sorts of things. So the entire organisation is intended to be for people in the industry. So it's everything they do is about that.
Yeah, and then you get outlets like Dice Tower and so forth that are there for content generation. So it's a good way to get in front of people who are creating content. As well.
Yeah, so
and if you've
that's
got
those
something
media
that catches,
stream.
And if you're lucky enough to just have a little bit of that, what is it, lightning in a jar kind of thing, and you catch someone's attention, which I think we did with the Stellar Prints. I think there were enough people who went, "That's really different and cool."
Different.
Which was
quite a few
great.
people commented that our booth was one of the more unique booths at the trade show.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the other booths were, what you would expect. They're publishers showing their games or their accessories or whatever. But it's basically the, year on year, it's similar kind of things, which you would expect. That's just how GAMA is.
That's the thing.
I think we were a little bit different with our offering and the way we displayed it. So it caught a lot of people's eye.
We were really fortunate in that Julene and Sue managed to catch Will Niebling's attention, and he's very, very well established in the industry. He was original Dungeons and Dragons employee, and he's now, I think, in his 80s. So he's been around a long time. He knows everything that's going on. And he looked at Stella and said, "That is the most innovative thing I've seen at this show."
He's on the board of the GAMA board. Wow. So he's influential in the GAMA Association. And when someone like him says that this is one of the most creative or innovative, interesting booths at GAMA, I mean, he's
seen it
goes
all.
to GAMA every year and has done for many, many, many years.
Yeah,
that's so exciting. Yeah,
that kind of thing. I think we managed to catch some attention, which is great. So we just got to tell everybody about it and hope that everybody sees the value in it.
But I think based on what you've told me both here and privately beforehand, like it feels like there was validation that we're on the right path, that what we're doing there is, people actually will care about, and it's, which is obviously anyone making any product, whether it's a game or whatever, a gaming accessory, anything, that's a big, you never really know until it happens, is what you're making gonna have a response, like, will people care about it? And so
absolutely.
I think having some level of like feedback to kind of say, oh yeah, there is like interest in this, and
you're onto something.
Is really good.
It's very validating. As kind of the product manager who does a lot of stuff, I went into this with no real idea of what we might be able to achieve. I was in that frame of mind of, look, if I can get a few meetings with publishers that I come away from with them saying, I think this is interesting and I'd like to give it a try, that for me would have been success. At the end of the halfway through it, in the middle of the second day, we'd achieved more than that.
Wow. Yeah, it's great.
And we've gotten home and we're still having really good conversations with people who are now saying, there's this thing that we would like to do. How are we going to do that? So
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure there's plenty of other things to talk about, and maybe what we might try and do, and I haven't run this past either of you really, is I might try and get on some other people who were at GAMA and over the next few weeks or months, and we might talk about it again and see their perspectives, because obviously everyone's going to have a bit of a different experience, especially the people who are not doing what we were doing. So maybe we'll start to wrap up. Was there one piece of advice, and so this is a question for both of you, if you can take it in turns, and we'll put maybe Alana on the spot to go first. What would be one piece of advice that you would give to somebody who's going to their first trade show like GAMA, so they're a young designer, a new designer, they're trying to do their thing, or maybe a new publisher? Is there one tip that you would say?
Definitely. Don't be afraid to get in people's faces. All right. So everybody's there. Well, yeah, of course. Everybody's there for the same reason. You're there because you're in the industry. You love what you do. You're celebrating, the tabletop industry, board games, accessories, all that. Like, you're not offending someone by going and trying to talk to them about whatever it is. Like, if it's, for instance, we saw Carl just walking around, Carl Lang just walking around.
Oh, was he there?
I
didn't know he was there. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So,
hang on, wait. Carl was at GAMA?
I keep getting the names mixed up.
Do you mean Kim Breback?
No.
He was there.
Simon. See, now I'm mixing up names. Do you
mean Eric Lang?
Eric Lang.
Oh, Eric Lang.
I always do that.
They're both Lang's last names, spelled differently, but they have the same sound. We'll give you a pass on that.
Yeah, Eric Lang's just wandering.
There you go, Carl. If you're listening, Carl, who's been on our show before,
I did that.
You've now been compared to Eric Lang, so take that as a compliment. That's a good thing.
You put the two next to each other. I can't tell the difference. Yeah, Eric Lang's just walking around, and people are going out wanting selfies and all that kind of stuff, and you get this concentration of industry people, but they want to know about what you're doing because they're there for that reason. It seems intimidating to go there because you feel like, I can't talk to these people. They're too important, or they're too high up in the industry. I can't possibly talk to them. But no, wrong answer. They're there for the same reason you are. So go and introduce yourself. Take business cards. That's the other bit of advice. You must take business cards. Do not go to a convention without business cards. Trade business cards, shake hands, say hello, tell them what you're doing, all that kind of stuff, because you never know. Like, those connections are really good to have, and you can reinforce the connections every time you go to a convention. Yeah. And that's how you get yourself into the industry. So don't be afraid to get in front of people.
Does that also lead into, because I've also heard advice broadly about if you're really wanting to, like if you're a game designer especially, and you're wanting to pitch to publishers or whatever, to tee that up, like tee up those meetings before the convention, because they're going to be very busy.
Yeah, so it helps. Some publishers, etc., will sort of advertise that they will take meetings, and you can book.
Yeah, and there'll be a calendar, and you just go and pick a time that works for you.
But it's not critical. Like, we went there not with much booked at all. Like, I think we had a couple of things
booked, and I think we might have booked it after we got there.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so
and then we
it's
booked
not the
another.
be all and end all. What you will find is you go once, you get that initial meeting with a bunch of people, and then the next convention you contact those same people you met previously, and you say, hey, I'm going to be at this convention, can we organize a meeting? And they're more likely to go, oh yeah, I remember you, let's book you in for such and such time. So that's sort of would be the next phase, is that you kind of you've got your foot in the door then. So that would be my advice.
Kate, what's your tip for someone going to a trade show for the first time?
Take chapstick and hand sanitizer.
Practical. I like
Very
it.
Practical.
The chapstick thing is probably more applicable to Reno because it was so dry.
Yeah.
Everything just dried out. And moisturizer as well because it was so dry. I don't know if that's. I'm sure there's
I'm
other
guessing.
locations.
Different places might have different problems, but yeah.
But my lips split even with chapstick because it was so dry.
Wow.
That was not something I've ever had before.
On that vein, wear a pair of shoes that you are happy to wear for 8 hours a day, every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The team was very patient with me because my ankles have never been good, and I would get to the end of the day and just go, I can't walk. So breakfast, I'd be going, I'm not walking up the road to Black Bear. And so a couple of mornings they took pity on me and we had breakfast at the hotel. But definitely get shoes that fit and that you can be on your feet in for 8 hours because that's what you're going to be doing. But in all seriousness, the thing that I would probably say is you have absolutely nothing to lose by walking up to someone and saying, hi, my name's such and such from this place.
Yep.
I was wondering if you've got a moment because I've got something that I think you might find interesting. If they want to say no, that's absolutely up to them. But I did that with a lot of people. I was walking around with either Alana or Alan or sometimes both. And not one person said to me, no.
Yeah. And I mean, they might just be humoring you, but it doesn't matter because you are talking to them.
I was very pleasant about it. Everyone
and they might be pleasantly surprised. They might start off thinking like, who's this bozo? But then by the end of the conversation, they're like, oh, actually, what you're talking about is really cool. So don't write yourself off.
Very cool.
Don't decide for the other person what they're going to think about you. Let them decide that for themselves. And if the whole business card thing, if you run out of business cards, keep your last one and let them take a photo of it.
But better advice is just don't run out. Take a lot. Yeah.
And business cards are usually, you can get them fairly economically these days.
Oh yeah.
Like there are whole print-on-demand places that can do your card for a very reasonable.
If it comes to that, and
I think Kate might be, just for those who are listening, Kate's doing a very subtle wink and suggesting that maybe a company like Launch Tabletop can print your business cards, but we don't do business cards per se.
Are all from our system.
Cards. Yeah.
We did it with a slightly zhuzhier paper, but yes.
Yeah.
But it's that we did them the whatever poker cards.
We did more of a silk finish.
They poker or mini
poker?
Here? Are they bridge or something? Are they poker? Okay.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Like I said, we'll talk about this in the future a bit more.
One thing I do want to mention is Kickstarter campaign. So this is all Kickstarter. Like we were really plugging the Kickstarter campaign, all the stellar things. We are launching that on May 30th.
Is that the right link? I've just put a link up on the screen. Is that the correct one?
Yep. That's the one. So. launchtabletop.com/KS. That's us. Yeah, go there.
So what's our Kickstarter? Let's just do the elevator pitch.
3 really well-known and much-loved board game artists, Andrew Bosley, Jackie Davis, and Miguel Coimbra, were each commissioned by us to produce a triptych of pieces, and each triptych relates to a particular kind of thing. So Andrew's are all the stages of gaming, so the things you play in childhood and then more gateway, and then you get serious about it and you start playing Scythe. Jackie's are about the kinds of gamers, so there's the gumshoe and there's the solo gamer, and what's the third one? Oh, the Omni Gamer, which we've just seen the artwork for. And Miguel's are the gaming groups. So there's the Fantasy Party, there's the Sci-Fi Session, I think that one's called, and the Horror.
Sorry, that was me.
I can't remember what that one's called. Horror. So that's Andrew Bosley's.
There's Andrew Bosley's, So it's a three panel set, and we got those 3 different artists that have done 3 panel sets. So that's the guts of the Kickstarter, is those metal prints.
And so, like, obviously a lot of the people who we're talking to through this podcast is game designers and game publishers. So if you're wanting your artwork to be a part of Stellar prints going into the future, then you can also contact us to talk about that. I don't have the direct email here. I've just got the general email.
Stella@launchtabletop.com.
I've got info@launchtabletop.
Or info.
That'll
do it too.
Stella. Yeah. And that
Either
one
way,
can...
I'll be the one writing back to you about it.
So yeah, shoot us a message if you're interested in the investigating if it's a good fit. And that's really exciting. So yeah, do we have a date, or we're not really sure the date?
May
for the
30.
May 30.
30th.
Just announced May 30.
Wonderful.
So yeah, mark it in your calendars, and
Yeah,
And we've
very
got
exciting.
some really great promotion lined up as well. We've got some influencers doing videos. We just saw the sizzle reel today from Kevin Grote at Old Man Games.
Okay.
And that's
What's the
looking
sizzle
very
reel? This
good.
is now educating me. Sorry, what's the sizzle reel?
It's the video that we'll put on the Kickstarter page for the
Okay, like at the top of
overview of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Very cool.
it's looking really good.
Nice. Well, I'm going to move on to our questionnaire, our world famous Materialise questionnaire. But today we're doing a different one because
award-winning.
both award. Well,
It's
can
awards we
claim-
give ourselves.
I was going to say that I don't think there's any real award that's been given, and I actually don't even think we've given ourselves a fake award. So we'll have to work on that for the next time, Alana. We'll have to do that. But so today I've got 5 totally new questions because both of you have answered the other questions a couple of times already. So the first, if I can get rid of that screen, how do I do that? I do this. So the first question, and I'll go for Kate first, is what color do you prefer to be when playing a game?
Red.
Actually,
I'm wearing my red
I was going to
meeples.
say, if we bring your face up bigger, we can see them. There we go. There's a red meeple earring. Very cool. So red for you, Alana. Do you have a preferred color?
Usually either green or blue. I probably go with green slightly more often than blue. Yeah, I'm not as attached to any particular color like Kate and Alan are.
I just love red. It's my favorite color. So
Yeah, well, you and Alan can fight over red.
finger gun name. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Question 2 is, what's a game that you enjoy that uses meeples?
5 Tribes.
I don't think I've seen 5 Tribes played. I know it's like the Mancala mechanic, but I don't think I've actually played it myself. Yeah, interesting.
I haven't played it either.
It's a lot of fun. I really like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only one
There's
I can
lots
think
of
of right
meeples.
now. The only one I can think of right now that I've played with meeples. I'm sure there are a bunch of others, but I'm going to go old school with Carcassonne.
It is obviously the
fair enough.
originator. It's the classic, and it's a great game. So it's very
It is a
valid.
great game. I think it's awesome. I haven't
Very
played it
cool.
for ages. I should really play it again.
Well, I mean, the good thing with Carcassonne is it's obviously so popular. There's all those different variants and expansions and stuff, so you can
Yes.
have a lot of variety with the experience. I knew some friends. They're still friends. I just saw them a few weeks ago, but they Carcassonne was like massive for them in their relationship and in their like growing into the gaming hobby, and so they had. I don't know if they had all the expansions, but like almost all of them. So it was like they were very into Carcassonne. It was very cool. All right, question number 3. What's a game that you like to teach people?
Teach people. Interesting.
Hanabi. I really enjoyed
yeah.
Hanabi.
Interesting.
Good
It's
one.
kind of a weird concept to get across to people, and it's so easy for them to accidentally turn those cards around and look at them.
So the core, for those who don't know with Hanabi, the core kind of difference about it is that you hold your cards backwards, so you
Yeah,
can't
facing
see.
away.
Yeah, you only see the backs of your cards, and everyone else can see what you've got, and there's limits on what you can talk about. So it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Game I like to teach. There's no particular game that I think, I really love to teach that game. Yeah.
Well, you could replace teach with introduce, I suppose, to people. It's like either or is fine, but yeah.
Look. Yeah, honestly, that's a really good one.
Okay, we'll save that for the
I
future.
don't know. I will ponder that one and come back. I'll abstain for now.
Well, I'll do an answer in your stead then. Okay, for me, it'd have to be Herbaceous. I think Herbaceous is
Oh,
one of
interesting.
the best games made. Just broadly, I think it's a very solid game, and the rules are like really simple and really light, so I can teach it in like 5 minutes, and people can be playing. And I find that it seems to accommodate a wide variety of interest and skill levels. So
Yeah.
I had a
has
good
wide appeal.
I had a good chat with the designer of Herbaceous at the first GAMA that I went to a while
Was
back.
because
that
there was
Edo
two designers. Was it Edo and
Oh, it
who's the
was
other
Edo.
designer?
It was Edo. Yeah.
Yeah, because let me know. I've got to look up because I
Yeah.
have forgotten the name of the person who was the co-designer. I know Beth Sobel did the original art on it.
Beth Sobel is someone whose art I would love to get on Stellar plates.
Steve
Anyone
Finn.
out there can hook me
Steve
up
Finn is the
with Beth Sobel's, deets. We would
oh.
love.
I might be able to do that. I was Facebook
How long
friends
have
with
you
her.
You
worked
after
on
the
this?
show
Why are
then.
you only just telling me this now, Eris?
Yeah, no, we were Facebook friends for a long time, probably like 3 or 4 years, and then I go through phases of just like radically reducing my friendship
yes.
list, and so I have a feeling we're no longer Facebook friends through no fault of anyone. There was no problem; it was just me, whatever. But like, but yeah, I reckon that's a doable. We could probably track down Beth. We know people who know people, sure.
Pony up.
Yeah. No, Beth's wonderful. Beth is a great artist, and obviously the challenge, as you know, with getting any artist for a project, whether it's for us for Stella or with making a board game, is obviously the popular ones are booked out, like they're busy. So yeah. All right. So, what is a game from your childhood that you'd be happy to play now?
Not Monopoly.
Not. Kismet would be
I've
my
never
answer.
played that.
So it's how do you explain it? So it's a bunch of dice and a cup, and you're throwing dice to try and make poker hands.
So kind of like Yahtzee.
Two of a kind. Yeah, it's kind of like Yahtzee a little bit. I think the rules are slightly different, but very similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you throw the dice. You can re-roll any number of dice once, and then you try and make the best hand you can. You tick it off a sheet to say, "Yep, I got that one. I got that one. I got that one." And then when you've ticked all of them off the sheet, you win. So it's a sort of a race to finish.
Yeah.
But I just love any kind of dice chucking games like that.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking about all the standard ones that you play when you're a kid, like drafts and the card games that you play because you had a pack of cards that time you went away on holidays, and so rummy it was. And they were okay, but there was a game that my sister and I had called Cop It, and I've never seen this anywhere on the shelves. It was given to us. I don't even remember who gave it to us, but we used to play it a lot, and I really enjoyed it. I still have it upstairs.
Oh, really?
Sorry, small person going to a rehearsal. I would quite happily play that.
Well, I can't. I'm Googling on. Oh, not Googling. I'm searching on Board Game Geek, and I'm not finding. Do you know how to spell the name?
COPPIT.
Oh, I was only doing a single P.
Here it is. Pops up on
There you go. Yeah.
Wikipedia.
Oh, there it is.
It's also apparently called Trap the Cap. And it's got a
this
It's got a whole bunch of names: Cap the Dunce, Catch the Hats, Cop It, Double Discoveries. It's like there's heaps of names for it. Okay, wow.
I have
that
Spears Game edition upstairs.
So it looks like it's got the cone-shaped pieces that I think of from, was it not Trouble, but Headache? Do you remember the game Headache?
Never played Headache.
It was like a Trouble variant, but they had
I see the
cone.
cones and I think of Cones of Dunshire, but you know.
Funny. Yeah, so interesting. Yeah, cool. All right. Because obviously there's that company, Restoration Games, who have been bringing back older titles and reinvigorating them, and it's very interesting. I also think though, like that's the beauty, like you mentioned about the playing cards. Like you jogged a memory. I'd forgotten we'd had some family holidays over the years, and there was
Yeah.
definitely eras of like, oh, this is the game that we've played like 100 times on this trip because like there wasn't a lot to do and we,
And that's what you had. So you played Rummy a lot.
or we
Yeah.
played one called, was it Scumbag? Have you played that? A card game called Scumbag?
I remember that, but I don't remember how to play it.
Neither do I. I think some people might have called it also Warlords and Scumbags, but like something, and then the one
I
that
remember
we've
there was
been
one
playing.
that we used to play in Perth called Spit, which was just a
Okay.
deck of cards, and I don't remember how to play that.
Yeah, it's just yeah, and then the other one that we've been playing since at least the mid-90s is a game that we call Old Joe. We call it Old Joe, but it also goes by the name May I, and it's basically Phase 10. So have you ever played Phase 10 that put out by Mattel? Okay. So they're all variants on what's called a contract rummy. So they're using rummy hands, but basically there's like 8 to 9. I think Phase 10 has 10 like combination rounds. So each round you're going for a different combination of things, and you you're trying to get them and get points. But the thing about it that's interesting, which isn't, I guess, unique now, but for me as a kid it was unique, is it's more like golf scoring. So you're trying to not get caught with points, like you're wanting to shed your hand. Like if you can go out in a round and get 0 points, that's like the best possible outcome for you in a round. So yeah, just anyway, interesting. All right. I'll go on, and since I'm giving you my answers, by the way, I'm going to jump back to the first one because I wasn't going to give you my answers, but just in case we ever play games together, I'm yellow. Yellow is I play yellow.
I'm not going to fight you for yellow.
And do you remember the TV show Mad Men? Did you ever see it?
Oh yeah.
So one of the actors in that is Rich Summer, and he was at PAX 2014, which was my first PAX Australia, and got to meet him. He actually took a copy of my Robots and Rockets prototype at the time. It was really lovely. But I remember learning that he liked to play yellow as well. And I was like, oh, this is great news. Like someone who I look up to also wants to play yellow, but it means I probably don't want to ever play a game with him because we'll be fighting over who's yellow. So that's not a good thing. But yeah, definitely yellow.
Alan has a Rich Summer story, but he's not here to tell it. So
we'll have to ask him next time. I've got a photo, I think, of me at a table playing Robots and Rockets with him, which is pretty cool. But yeah, yes, because that PAX 2014 was where I met Alan for the first time.
Yeah, that was when Alan got his Rich Summer story. Yeah,
yeah, very cool.
I think we took Rise to Power there.
Yes, you were sharing a booth with Jason Kotzer. And you both had Kickstarters. This is my memory anyway. You can tell
me. I don't think I was.
I don't think you were there. I think it was just Alan. Alan and Jason shared the booth, and that was how I met Alan, and that's history. Very cool. All right. So final question number 5 is from the people here, which is now less because Alan's not here. So let's pretend Alan's here, because when I thought of this question, there was more people. But from the people here, who would you most want to be following in a card draft? So basically, who do you think is the nicest giving cards away? Let's add Alan. We'll put Alan in. Pretend Alan's here, so he's an option.
Any particular
draft after any of you? Because
any particular game?
Well, you can pick whatever favorite drafting game you got. You could Sushi Go, Magic. There's many.
Seven Wonders.
Games. 7 Wonders. I'm gonna say Kate. I think.
Yeah, because
Kate.
I'm terrible with card drafting.
Look. I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything, but not saying you're terrible. It's just I think you're very generous with what you pass on.
I think I don't put that much thought into it because.
I would probably say Alan because we used to play a lot of Magic the Gathering, and we didn't do an awful lot of drafts, but knowing how Alan plays Magic and also some other card drafting like Sushi Go, he always tries to do weird things. So he's often
so you can take the safe bet and he'll be on the
exactly.
Okay.
He'll do something weird and take some weird card to try and get some weird mechanic going. And meanwhile, he's just ignoring like the really solid standard stuff. So there's always something good for me to choose. So
nice.
I'd probably go after Alan. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all for that. That was good. I'll hide the question. And so I guess we'll wrap up. It's been over an hour now, so we can we can do this thing. Thank you both for chatting and catching up. And I know that it's still recovering, even though one of you's been back longer than the other. And yeah, so lots happening. For anyone who wants to follow along with things, you can find us. I'm going to pull up some of our links. Probably one of the best places to follow along with things or chat to us is our Discord, which is at launchtabletop.com Discord, or at least that's a link to get to the Discord. Obviously, you can talk to us there about anything game related, and also if you have any questions about what we're offering with Launch Lab or Stella, you can chat to us there as well and raise them. That would be wonderful. We also have Launch Lab, which we haven't talked about much at all this episode, but Launch Lab is our print-on-demand board manufacturing service or platform, and you can sign up for free just at launchtabletop.com. Oops, sorry, we've got two people pressing the button. No, all good. You did the right thing. So you can go to launchtabletop.com and sign up for free, and then check it all out, make a game, put a project together, or multiple projects. There's no limit. If there's a limit, I've not hit it, so I don't know what the limit would be. I've got a lot of draft projects in my account, and then if you do decide to put an order through, just put in the code Materialise at checkout and you'll get 20% off before shipping. And then do we have any other things to share? If you are watching this on YouTube, then we'd love it if you could please give us a thumbs up and follow us as well. That'd be wonderful. So you can see when we do new videos. I don't think there's anything else. Oh, if people are interested, so we've got the KS, we'll just go over it again. So our Kickstarter for Stellar is, you can find the short, like if you go to launchtabletop.com/KS, you can go to that. If you are more broadly interested in just what is Stellar and about it, then if you go to launchtabletop.com/Stellar, you can get some information. And you can also send an email through to info@launchtabletop.com and someone from the team will answer any of your questions. So I think that's everything. I honestly don't know what's happening next week. I haven't got it. Oh, yes, I do know what's happening next week.
Talking to Dan.
We are talking to Dan May. That's right. We just have to confirm the time. So I don't know what time it's going to be next week. But
it will be Thursday because
Thursday our time, so Brisbane time. Yeah.
On Friday, so we'll be Thursday next week. Dan May from Quillsilver will be joining us to talk art direction, with a little bit of a focus on the art direction that he did for the Kickstarter Stellar prints.
Yeah.
So that'll be a good one.
Very cool. Looking for Dan's great. Dan's been on the show before, so if you want to have a preview of or like hear some of Dan's other stuff, then check out our older episode. I don't have the episode number in front of me. I'm not a very good on having all the stats in front of me, but it was probably episode, I'm going to guess 15. I'm just pulling a number out. I don't know, somewhere around there. But if there's something to know about art direction, Dan knows it, so it'll be a good one. Yeah, so that's very exciting. And I think that's everything. So I think Alana might be looking up the episode that we had.
I don't think I can find it quickly enough.
Nah, it's all good. Yeah, I'm not. I don't want to put in the effort to try and find it right now either. So it's no problem at all. Thank you both, and I'm going to go to our button so I can play the video this time because I seem to forget to do that often.
I found it. Episode 13.
13. Oh, it's close. 15 was a pretty good guess. Yeah. Nice. We're now building up enough episodes that we can do our own trivia on old episodes and test each other. Yeah. Thank you both very much, and I'm glad to have you back. It's wonderful, and now I'm in the same state as you, so we can hopefully catch up, which is in person.
Maybe in a couple of weekends' time.
Maybe in a couple of weekends' time.
Next weekend.
I think it's actually next weekend. Yeah, if that happens. So we will see what happens. So it would be the episode. It would be not next week. It would be the episode after that we could talk about if we play any games together. So, yeah, cool.
Anyway,
all right.
Excellent.
Thanks both of you. Bye.
No problem. Bye bye.